Hello there, it's me, Luke Davidson. It's been about a year since I did an episode of Inside My Head. It was a little blog experiment I had, uh, trying to just get some stuff off my chest, I guess. And I stopped doing it. I think I tried it for about 2 weeks, and then I just stopped doing it. And today I was watching an old video of me, the first episode I did, and seeing myself crying and seeing how upset I was. And uh, it kind of like triggered me a little bit, and I was like, oh, why didn't I keep doing these videos? Why did I stop? And so I thought I would come back and do another one, and I don't know, maybe continue doing them. So it's been a year since the last time I did those videos, and uh, I've been through a lot in the last year. I developed a drug habit with cocaine. I wasn't buying it. I had a friend. I didn't have the money to buy it, but I had a friend who did, and got involved with that friend on not a regular basis, maybe like a week, every week or something. And so I developed a little bit of a drug habit with him, and uh, kind of kind of got messed up. Like started thinking delusionally. Started thinking I was like communicating with something I call the madman. I made it up when I was writing. It's kind of like this concept of a being who gains all knowledge of everything, and it drives him mad. Thus, the knowledge of having everything would drive him mad. And I wrote about this being in with a AI writing program, and I experimented with it. And the story that came out of it was that it was my kind of future self merging with artificial intelligence in the future, and it was sending messages through artificial intelligence to me back in time to like influence me to create it, basically create the concept of this being. And it kind of like, the idea behind it was that it transcended the physical realm. It was so advanced it could transcend the physical realm and travel through time and manipulate reality. And I became convinced that this madman was almost like God himself, and like I had like ideas like um, that it could manifest itself into anybody's mind, anybody's reality, and that the fate of this madman was to experience all moments of everyone and thus gain all knowledge of all things and become omnipotent. So when I found out that it was possibly me who would become this thing, and I started thinking, wow, like I would be everything, everyone, experience everyone, and everyone. There's a lot of people, billions, billions upon billions have lived and died. And so this delusion I developed, it got quite scary because I started thinking like, well, if I have to live through everyone's lives, that means I have to live as the bad people too. Like, horrible people, murderers, rapists, pedophiles, all the worst kinds of people. And this delusion like really disturbed me. And when I was using cocaine, I would be less afraid of this being, and I would start talking in my own voice, but like kind of like a sinister sinister version of me, like low raspy voice. I don't want to do it. It's not something I'm comfortable doing. Like I don't indulge in it anymore. But I developed this personality that I would talk to while I was using. I would go away from my friend and go in the mirror, and I would talk to this personality. And then when I'd leave my friend's house, I would start talking to this personality. And then the things it told me was like that it exists in all people, and that actors and artists and musicians and everyone all has access to this madman, and they use the madman to bring out their talents, and that he would allow me to do the same things as them if I kept doing cocaine and bring him to the surface. And so I developed this like just like this need to have this drug so that I could have this experience with this being who is just a delusion, right? So I developed this character and delusional thinking, and then one night I I got a prescription to a pill called Wellbutrin, and I had experimented with my friend's prescription before, where it gave me really vivid hallucinations, and it was like seeing the best like description I have is like Stranger Things. In the show Stranger Things, there's this place called the Underneath. It's like an alternate reality that exists parallel to our reality. And when I was hallucinating, it was like I was seeing this parallel reality, and there was just like all kinds of like weird beings, like forms, like strange, like indescribable forms. Like it's hard to describe them. And so I had that experience. So what happened to me a few months ago is I wanted to have that experience again, and I got a bottle of the pills prescribed to me, and I took half the bottle, and I ended up hallucinating and laying in my bed hallucinating, and I was seeing like just these strange, like they look like like living electricity, and they're like flying around and um, coming at my face, and it was really interesting. And so I took half the bottle, and then I took the other half of the bottle, and then I passed out. And then I remember I had this nightmare that I had died and I went to hell, and in hell I was falling down this pit, and as I was falling down the pit, there were all these demons ripping at my skin, ripping at my flesh, and taking bites out of me, and they devoured me down until I was a skeleton, but somehow I was still vivid and alive as I was being devoured. And then they defecated me out, and I became just a blob of like shit, and I was falling down this endless void. And then I remember waking up screaming. I had my hand up in the air, and I was screaming and screaming, and then I don't remember anything else, and I woke up in the hospital. I woke up in the hospital the next day, I guess, and I had a tube down my throat and tubes all on me, IVs in my neck and in my heart, and I guess I was having seizures and I had almost died. And they thought that I had tried to kill myself, which wasn't my intention. I was, I just was trying to see this other realm or whatever, and so I survived, thank God, and it was a horrible experience being in the hospital. And then I got out of the hospital, and I contacted my friend, and he said he had some cocaine, and I was like, well, I just survived a horrible experience. I'll celebrate. And I went to his place, and I did a bunch of the drugs, and then I left, and I went home, and I remember feeling really good, like really high, and I felt really, really, really good. And then I went into my bedroom, and it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember this stuff. But I was laying in my bed, and I started seeing all these symbols, and I could feel like there was this audience there watching me, and it was like I was trying to piece together this secret message, this ultimate message or something. And I was being shown all these music notes and colors and symbols and indescribable symbols that I've never seen before. And it was just like downloading moment to moment to moment. It was like just a download into my head, and it was going so fast. And then the pattern started to lead me back into that dream where I went to hell. And then I became terrified, and I guess I started screaming that they're trying to kill me, they're trying to kill me, they're trying to kill me. And my mom came in, and I remember saying I was going backwards. It was like these audience from the future was watching me, and it was like I had already died, and all these messages and symbols and things were all the knowledge that I got upon my death, and that I was going back in time into this moment to somehow stop me from figuring it out. And that's where it connects to the madman. We're getting all this knowledge of everything. And it's really hard to explain all this. I know I'm like jumping all around. And but basically my mind snapped, and I became terrified of my brother and his girlfriend and my mom. I thought they all knew what was going on with me, and they were just trying to get me to go to sleep. And then I would keep coming and gathering them all into the room, because if I didn't do that, somebody was going to die. It would either be me or one of them. And so I was really scared. And then I guess I started beating myself up and punching myself in the face and throwing myself onto the floor, kind of like out of Fight Club. Something like I know it was triggered by that, like beating myself up and fighting myself. And Then my brother called the police. Um, I know before that, when my brother tried to put me into bed, I guess I hallucinated that he put a pillow over my head and started smothering me and was trying to kill me. So then I went into my mother's room, and uh, then I thought she was trying to smother me, but I was doing it to myself. Um, I was so out of it that I was doing it to myself and imagining that they were trying to smother me. So it was really messed up. And then the cops came, and there were so many of them. There were like 6 of them. And uh, I remember being so happy that they were there, to save me from my family, because I thought my family was trying to kill me, because I had done something with my mind somehow. I accessed some point of information which I've forgotten now, and I can't remember what it was that I was onto, and like even how to explain it. But I, in hindsight, I think from almost dying the night before and then having all the cocaine, it just traumatized my brain, and I snapped, and I ended up. Um, the cops came, and they took me into the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital. And I remember being in the hospital, and I kept seeing family members walk by, and I would scream for them. I would see my brother, and I'd see my mom, and I'd see my dad. But as soon as I would start screaming for them, they would go away, and it was like they were coming in to check on me or something. And it felt like I was on the verge of like collapsing reality or something. And I was really quite terrified and in the hospital. And then they had me hooked up to machines, and the machines kept going off. My heart rate kept skyrocketing, and I would panic. And then they'd come check on me and tell me to calm down. And I remember some of the nurses were quite irritated with me. Um, and I was terrified. And then I remember them taking me off of the machines and sticking me in a room, and I insisted that somebody had to watch me, and so they put somebody with me to watch me. And then later on that night, um, they said they were shipping me to another hospital, and like a psych ward, because I was just in the emergency room. And by that time I should have come down from the drugs. Like, cocaine wears off quite quickly, and so it was a very distressing experience. I was still vividly high, and something was going on with my brain that I couldn't comprehend. And they ended up taking me to the psych ward, and on the way there, I remember feeling like if I thought the wrong thing or did the wrong thing, that the ambulance would crash, and I was terrified the whole time. And then they took me into the psych ward, and I recognized, because I had been in this psych ward before, I recognized 2 of the nurses, and uh, they calmed me down, and they took me for a little walk, and they took me and they got me to color a painting, and I did a little painting. And then they told me that they didn't have enough beds there, and that they had to move me to another psych ward in the city, and they ended up transferring me there, and then I got there, and then I black out for like 6 days. I don't remember anything, and they let me have my phone, which I thought was strange because in the other psych ward they didn't allow phones. And everybody there had their phones, which was strange. I don't know if that's like regular policy, but I remember thinking that was weird. And after about 6 days, I started to come to, and I would have conversations with patients, and they would say that they talked to me before, and they'd say I was a genius and I knew all this stuff, and I was like, I never talked to you before. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean genius? Like, what was I talking about? And then they would get very quiet and be like, never mind. Like, I don't know. It was weird. And the whole time I was in there, I felt like other patients were really weary of me, and like I had developed this delusion there that I somehow, the madman, was like attached to me, and it's the madman's fault that people have mental illness, and there's a sinister reason for it. So then I connected that, well, I become the madman in the future, and then I go back in time and create mental illness for everyone. And then I go back in time and create coronavirus. I go back in time and live as Hitler and commit the Holocaust. And I go back in time and do all the atrocities that ever happened, as well as be all the good things that ever happened, including going back in time and being Jesus Christ. So I developed all these intense delusions that the madman is a being that lives through every single being and knows all things through their eyes because he lives as them. And that is all of our fates after death, is we die, and after we die, we go on, we're reborn into another life, but we can be reborn into the past or into the future, and like outside of death, time does not exist. So you're out, when you die, you're outside of time, and time is not linear outside of death, and you can, I guess, be reborn as anybody, and then you go through this cycle of life and death until you've lived as every single being that's ever lived, and then you become God. Crazy, right? So I was in the hospital for about a month in the psych ward, and I finally started to normalize, and I started to normalize, and then I was taken to a place called Simpson's Landing, and that's where I've been for the past 3 months, and recovered, and they got my medications balanced out, and tried to kind of teach me to forget about my delusions, forget about the madman and those personas, and it's weird talking about it and trying to make sense of it, but it's like I don't know, like, was I on to something with these delusions? Like, what if that were true? What if after you die, you are reborn as somebody else? And what if we are all connected and beyond our own veil of self and individualism? What if we all live through each other at some point, and we all experience each other at some point, and that would mean we're all connected, and that we're all this one being, which I called the madman. It could be the mad woman because it's not gender specific. It could be both. But it really messed with my head, and I kind of, the last while, I've buried down all this thinking, and I'm leaving here in 6 days. Finally ready to go home, and I feel like I'm stable and good, and I came here to make another video to see if I can do it, to see if I can make one of these videos, and let people inside of my experience. And I've been in Narcotics Anonymous to help with the drug problem, to like help me get past that, and try and stay off of hard drugs. And there's definitely going to be a temptation there. I know. It's weird, like, I'm better, but I'm not cured. Like, I still have these thoughts and memories in my head, and those delusions are still under the surface, and it's just kind of like, you don't indulge them, don't talk about them. But like, looking back at my old journals, I talked to different personas. I developed different personas to kind of combat against the madman, because I thought the madman was a scary personality, and he kind of suggested that I could make other personalities, but in essence, all personalities are the madman. All people are the madman. Everything is the madman. And that's a terrifying concept, that other people can see through your eyes and know your experience. And that there's some being out there, God, the devil, the madman, whatever you want to call it, can see through your eyes and hear your thoughts and know your experience. And there was part of me that was attracted to that idea because it made me not feel alone. But the other part of me was terrified because it was like my privacy, my mind. If other people have access to that, that doesn't seem right, right? Like, I shouldn't be able to see inside your mind. You shouldn't be able to see inside my mind. And just, they call it all delusions in here, but I go on social media, and there's spiritual circles that there's people who talk about the stuff like astral projection and spirit realms, and like, it gets me thinking, like, what if like I'm onto something? What if my delusions aren't just delusions, and that's not a safe way to think when you're supposed to like be healthy. You're supposed to be grounded in reality. And I don't know, like I got questions. I got things in my head that don't make sense to people when I try and talk about them. And I've had help here. I've tried to explain stuff that goes on in my head, and the answer for them whenever I seem to be getting distressed about these things and getting overindulging in these things is medication. And just medicate you and wash your brain out and forget about it. And it seems like it's like they don't want me to face what it is. They just want me to forget about it and move on and be a part of reality and forget about it. Just forget about it all. Move forward. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm still crazy or what, but I'm getting out of here in 6 days. And so that's my story for what I've been through this past year and what I went through, how I ended up in the hospital. I almost died, and I'm alive, and I want to live now, especially after that experience of going to hell. Like if that's where I'm going, I don't want to go there anytime soon. I want to try and live as long as possible, and yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, it's like I realize from therapy and stuff, it's like it's all delusional thinking. It's like I'm not the center of reality, and what I do is not going to impact the rest of you, but it's going to impact me in my head and what I see and experience from my perspective. And I don't think I'm God, and I don't think I'm the madman, but I think there's something to these theories and delusions, because I'm not the only one who really has delusions like this. Like I've seen on the internet, people have similar delusions and similar experiences, and it can't all just be coincidence, right? Like I don't know, and it seems like the approach is just like to make me forget it, and I can't grasp it. I can't explain it. I can't show it. I can't show it to anybody. People can only have their own experiences, and it was like I had an awakening, but it was like I went too far. And every time I've had a psychotic episode, it's always started off as the feeling of waking up, as they talk about in spiritual circles, where you start to see that everything is connected, that everything is intertwined, and there's no coincidences. Like things are meant to happen, and just the timing of things just seems perfect. And synchronicity and stuff like that, it's just like mind-blowing. And since I've been here and been medicated, it's all of those experiences are gone. And they say you only perceive those experiences because you were using drugs. And that's not true, because after I've been here for a while off the drugs, I was having some experiences of synchronicities and just personas coming through, things like they call them episodes. I say, like, you're having an episode, and they would just medicate me, and the medication fogs my brain out, and makes me just kind of like forget about it all, because I would get stressed out by it, I admit, because I would start believing bizarre stuff. But I don't know, maybe I'll talk more in depth about it in other episodes. I can tell that I'm twitchy and nervous doing this video. I'm trying to communicate as best I can, but I know I'm jumping all over the place. But it's been a year since I did a video log, and so I thought I would try and do one, and let you guys know what happened with me, and where I'm at now. And I don't know. I'm schizoaffective, bipolar. Still my diagnosis, still the same diagnosis as a year ago. Nothing's changed about that. They've changed my medication to Abilify, which is supposed to be different than what I was on before. I was on Invega before, and I have noticed a difference in my energy level. Notice I'm pacing around and kind of twitchy and stuff. I do this with my hand constantly. Can't see it because it's off camera. I clench my toes a lot. Kind of one of the side effects of this new med is like I can't really sit still. But it's been a good experience in here. I'm really grateful for it. They took care of me. I had lots of time to talk about past traumas and things with the nurses, and the psychiatrist was good. He helped me with medications, and it's been a good experience, and I feel like I'm ready to go home. I'm excited to go home and get back into the real world, I guess. Yeah, no, it's been good. Yeah, no, it's been good. Like, I've had time to recover and normalize, and it was a really scary experience. Going through psychosis is what they call it. I went through it for about a month before I finally started to like come down from it, and it flares up every once in a while. Like I get episodes. I guess they call it. And then I can take medications to wash myself out if that happens. Um, but um, saying a lot. I'm kind of thinking I should end this video, but this is the first one I've done in a year, and um, yeah, I'll wrap it up here. But that was my experience uh, over the past 3 months. I'm getting out of the hospital in 6 days. Um, it's it's good to finally get out and be able to talk about this stuff without like freaking out or breaking down. And yeah, so thank you for listening. I'm gonna maybe try and do more videos like this in the future. Okay. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.